Welcome to this short video highlighting Chapter 2 of Bob Cochrane's first book, Imaginal You, a time-traveling note to self. If you find the material interesting, much greater detail may be found within the book, which is available on Amazon.com, in either paperback or e-reader form. Let's get started. Chapter 2. Flawed Premises. Control Your Life. Ever feel like you're playing a game where everyone else knows the rules but you? That's because most are operating from a set of collective assumptions that may be completely wrong. Bob Cochrane's book, Imaginal You, challenges these flawed premises that often silently guide our society. Let's dive into some common collective premises and see if we can't shake up your worldview a little. 1. Matter is what really matters. Not true. Science has discovered that the smallest building block making up matter, and everything else, is energy. And here's where it gets spicy. What if that energy is actually conscious? Max Planck, the father of quantum physics, didn't mince words. There is no matter. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. Behind this, a conscious and intelligent mind. 2. My consciousness is temporary. Not true. According to thermodynamics, energy can't be created or destroyed, so the energy-based consciousness that makes you has always existed and always will. Think of your brain like a TV and your consciousness like the broadcast signal. If the TV is destroyed, does the broadcast disappear? Nope. It just needs a new receiver. So, when people talk about reincarnation, their views may be supported by thermodynamics. 3. I'm separate from others. Not true. One of the first pandemics may have been the other mind virus. Before this, our indigenous ancestors saw everything and everyone as part of the same circle of kin: people, animals, and the environment. Then, patient zero contracted the other mind virus, and suddenly the circle shrank. Now, most people, animals, and the environment are falsely seen as outside of our circle of kin and fair game to be exploited. 4. We recognize truth when we see it. Hate to break it to you, but most of us are pretty terrible at distinguishing truth from a cleverly framed narrative. Entire industries have been built around exploiting our truth blindness. A narrative becoming widely accepted doesn't make it true. That's just the bandwagon fallacy at work. And the many truth enforcers? They tend to offer plenty of carrots and sticks, so we'll conclude that truth is a luxury we can't afford. 5. We're in control of our fears. Typically, no. There are two types of people: those who manage their fears and those who are managed by their fears. When fear takes over, your amygdala, or primitive brain, hijacks your prefrontal cortex, or thinking brain, and suddenly you're no better than a Neanderthal in a suit. That's how people may arrive at a mindset of, as long as I get mine, sucks to be you. Yale University found that people's political ideologies could be predicted by how fearful they were. Some news networks seem to have figured this out, seemingly weaponizing fear to shift entire populations within the political spectrum. 6. We prioritize truth over disruption. Sorry, we like to think we value truth, but the record suggests otherwise. From ancient peasants to modern voters, staying comfortable often trumps facing uncomfortable truths. The Rand Corporation's Truth Decay report shows that what passes for truth is often just consensus around a controlled narrative. Imagine where humanity could be now if our ancestors had embraced the big, disruptive truths instead of settling for comfortable half-truths. What will our descendants say about us? 7. Clear, honest communication is all important. In theory, yes. In practice, not so much. How many of us would tell our boss they're being an unfair jerk? We tend to prefer honest communication only when it doesn't cost us too much. This has been culturally institutionalized to the point that we don't even notice. 8. Today's form of patriarchy is sustainable. According to Cochrane, we're dealing with a toxic, win-lose predatory version of patriarchy that's becoming increasingly destructive. The culprit? a super narrative that distorted Darwin's work into faulty social Darwinism. If there's no hereafter or karma, might as well grab whatever you can until someone stops you. Government regulation was invented for people like this. Spoiler alert. As a society, this particular worldview isn't just unsustainable. It may also not be survivable. 9. Today's form of capitalism is sustainable. Pope Francis called our current version savage capitalism, a system that prioritizes profits over social, ecological, or karmic ramifications. When someone says, "It's not personal, it's just business," they're usually trying to justify a predatory action that benefits them at someone else's expense. Left unchecked, this can result in capitalism cancer. 10. Today's form of science is always scientific. Not true. Science should be the fair and courageous pursuit of truth, regardless of what powerful people or revenue streams it inconveniences. But in reality, not so much. Studies are more likely to reach conclusions confirming prevailing bias than truth. As Max Planck observed, science often progresses one funeral at a time, because established institutions and scientists hold back game-changing ideas in order to protect their status and revenue. 11th, the goal of medicine is always wellness. Sorry. Once upon a time, medicine was a calling aimed at keeping people so healthy that doctors rarely saw them. Since US healthcare was taken over by big business, the goal now seems more focused on steady revenue streams. A neurosurgeon put it bluntly: "We spend billions treating symptoms that never eradicate any disease, and few ask why." Is it any wonder that public confidence in healthcare has plummeted from 73% in 1966 to just 34% today? 12. The news media is in the informing business. Sorry, if you're not paying for a product, you are the product. News media doesn't measure how informed you are. They measure how many of your attention seconds they can capture and sell to advertisers. Nothing captures attention seconds like fear and outrage. After the 1987 repeal of the FCC Fairness Doctrine, fair and balanced became little more than an unverified marketing slogan. Today's media has evolved from information to infotainment to perhaps info-fearment. These collective flawed premises shape us far more than we realize. On top of these shared premises, we tend to also add multiple personalized premises, making for quite the wobbly Jenga tower. What flawed premises might be controlling your own life? That's a question worth exploring if you're brave enough to face the answers. For more information on Bob Cochran's first book, Imaginal You, a time-traveling note to self from the corner of science and spirituality, or his second book, Hyperdimensional You, Surfing the Shift Towards Mastery, check out Clever, the number 2, wise.com. That's www.clever2wise.com, or on Facebook, #Clever2wise.